This is a 1997 Saturn SL2. It's got chattering door locks because of this switch. Lock, unlock, and what has happened is that it just is on a hair trigger now. And every now and again, it will get in a situation where it just flutters back and forth. You hear it called chattering online. So we're going to replace the switch. The tools that you need are, of course, the replacement switch. Got this one off of Amazon. If you search for 97 Saturn SL2 door switch, then you'll be able to find it pretty easily. You'll need some kind of a small tool to get the switch out. I use this. It's a little, it's like a cooking thing. But basically, the idea is that, it's hard to get focused, sorry about that. It's a little flat-bladed metal thing, and it doesn't quite come to a point. It's rounded, it's not really sharp, it's not too wide. That's the type of a thing you want. You could maybe use something like this, some kind of a other knife. And a small flat-bladed screwdriver will also help you. The trash won't help you much. Coffee helps me. Now, getting the old switch out, what you want to do, kind of put this at the top, more or less near the center, and gently kind of wiggle it in, and at the same time upward, slowly at first. What you're doing is you're pushing down a little latch, okay, and you can actually see the latch right there, and then just kind of gently tug out from the top. Once you get it that far, go ahead and pull it out. Not too fast, not just a little gently, because there's a wiring harness behind it. But if you pull a little bit, you'll be able to get that wiring harness out. Next thing we want to do is separate the wiring harness at the point where it connects to the switch. So I'm going to pause this and then get the tool for that. Okay, so to get that wiring harness separated, I use this little screwdriver, and you want to insert it. Sorry about this, it's kind of hard to hold the phone stable while working with the tool one-handed. But basically putting the screwdriver right down in here between where the black part of the connector and the little opening that the locking slot is. And we're going to put this down in there and then kind of pry upward a little bit. While I'm kind of bending the screwdriver, once I get it in straight, I'm going to pulling it back to tend to unlatch the connector at that point. And I'm going to try to drag the connector up and out of the housing there from the switch. Like that. And once it gets that far, I should be able to pull it out. And I did. That's it. I'm going to pause and I'm going to get the new switch ready. Okay, so back in pretty much the same position with the new switch here. And prop it up with my knee. This is professional video setup here. So then, there's really only one way it can go in, so that the connectors go and make their mate with the 3 pins, and this little lock latching tab here can go into its receptacle right there. So position it, line it up straight, and push it all the way in until you hear it snap in place. And you'll notice then, of course, that it should be seated flush. That's the way it should have looked originally. And then that's pretty much it. One thing I've noticed here when I took this off is, and you'll see too, is the insulation is cracked on these wires. So I'm not really sure when that happened. It may have even just happened because this is a 97. It's going on 20 years old, and the insulation may just be tired and dried out. So it doesn't look like it's so bad that I have to worry about replacing those wires right now, but it's something I'll have to keep an eye out for. Okay, installing it is pretty much the reverse of taking it out. It's always a good idea to test it, I guess. That's better. So now it's the switch you can't feel in the video, but what I can feel is that instead of like being stuck in the middle, kind of vibrating back and forth, fluttering back and forth, or chattering, it's kind of, there's enough spring force to bring it back to the center, which is what the problem was with the old switch. Okay, so just gonna push the wires back in, and so that they're under this little kind of clear plastic sheeting, it looks like, that's like a waterproofing, and keep some water and dust out of there, and just kind of tuck the wires where they're not going to get pinched by the door handle mechanism. So when you pull this thing, there's actually a little rod in there that moves. You can see it kind of moving a little. You don't want the wires to rub on that, and the way it was originally was that the wires were behind that plastic so that that wouldn't happen. Okay, so and then kind of put it bottom end in first, and then slide the top up and in, and just once the bottom is definitely seated, rock the top in until the little ribs are seated and snaps in, and that's it, and then you're done. And then don't be a slob and clean out your car. That's what I'm about to do. Okay, I hope this helped.